Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Sunday Night Live with me, Jonny Lipsham, over here at jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk in Edinburgh, in Scotland, which, of course, as everybody knows, is the capital of the world. So, here we are. Hope you guys have all had a great week. I have had a weird week, I will say that much. It started off with my right foot swelling to almost twice its size and being incredibly painful, to kind of bear weight and on my foot and all of that. So I ended up going to my doctor. My doctor took a look and said, okay, I think you might have a broken foot. So they sent me off to hospital to go and get x-rays. And I'm just waiting for the x-ray results to confirm or deny broken foot. But I've since been back to my doctor, who is pretty certain that I have a hairline fracture of this part of my foot here, kind of just underneath this bit here. So it would explain an awful lot. Why I've been in so much pain. So I now have these to take 3 times a day, and these are incredibly strong painkillers. So yeah, it's been an interesting experience. So underneath my desk right now, I have my foot strapped up, and it is kind of on a cushion on top of a stool. So it kind of makes working a little bit awkward. And it kind of makes doing this show also maybe a little bit awkward as well. Being able to maneuver myself is going to be complicated and possibly even a little bit painful. So please do bear with me on tonight's show and maybe for the next several shows, because if this is confirmed as a broken foot, then it's going to be probably 6 weeks or so before I'm anywhere near fully healed up. So yeah, it'll be only the second time I've had broken bones anywhere in my body, and actually it's happened to my right foot on both occasions. First time I was 18 years old, and in fact I think I may have been younger than that. I might have even been 16. And I was playing in a cricket match. Actually, it wasn't in a cricket match. It was in training. And one of the things they do is they condition batsmen to face fast bowling. So in this case, a cricket ball was coming at me at about 90, somewhere between 85 and 90 miles an hour. And it's directly struck my pinky toe on my right foot and shattered it. Kind of this part of my toe just completely shattered it, destroyed it, and snapped the ligaments underneath. And that was during training in preparation for a county game, and that was the end of my career in professional sport. So yeah, it was. So it took me about 3 years to recover from that, because I had also had another injury. And basically my professional sport career kind of ground to a halt after about 18 months. So kind of at that time in my life, I was kind of combining a career in professional music as a musician, as a performing and recording musician, and pursuing this kind of burgeoning career in professional sport. And I kind of needed to answer the question, which way am I going to go? And my injuries that took place between the ages of 16 and 18 kind of answered that question for me. So that would be the end of my sports career, and my music career took off from there. And I've been pretty much a fully paid up professional musician ever since then. So I have no idea how I've broken my foot, other than it's happened somehow. I don't know. But there it is. So that has been the story of my week, kind of toing and froing between here and my doctor's and the hospital to try and figure out what the heck's going on. So hopefully tomorrow I might actually know for certain what we already suspect. It takes a wee while for x-rays to be kind of studied by specialists and that kind of thing, and then that gets back to my doctor, and then we go from there. Because it's potentially just a minor fracture rather than a major fracture. If it was a major fracture that showed up on the x-ray on Friday, that would be that. I would be in a cast pretty much straight away on the day. But because it's probably a hairline fracture, it's kind of a little bit less. They treat it a little bit less seriously. So suffice to say, I am up to my eyeballs with pain relief medication, which is doing all sorts of weird things to my mind. I'm not even going to go there. But I see that we have 23 people here, which is amazing. At this early stage in the show. And I am going to get to talking Studio One 5 in just a few minutes. I'm sure you guys still, we're kind of 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks after the launch. So I'm sure you guys probably still have some questions. And as you're finding your way around, those of you that have upgraded, or those of you that are still looking into either upgrading to Studio One outright, or whether you're looking at Persona Sphere, well, these shows are for you guys, to help you kind of answer those questions, to help you make those kind of decisions about what you want to do, whether you are looking to go for Persona Sphere, which is awesome, or just to upgrade outright to Studio One 5, or if you're already there in Persona Sphere, or you've already upgraded, I'm sure you've got questions, and maybe one or two issues have started to crop up for you. Then that is what this show tonight, and probably for the next 2 or 3 weeks, are for. They are entirely for you to get your Studio One 5 and Persona Sphere questions answered. So be putting those in the chat, and I will try and get through as many as I possibly can. I would love to answer loads of questions tonight. Last week we had a great show. Last week we had, I think, more viewers than we'd ever had before. And I think the week before that, I think we kind of broke the record 2 weeks in a row, which is amazing. So, yeah, get your questions in the chat, or your comments about Studio One 5, what you like, what you really like about the new stuff in Studio One 5. Or, if there is anything that you're kind of going, it's great that we've got all of these things, but I would still like to see X, whatever that might be, then yeah, we can talk about those things too. I'm absolutely all ears for those. So, yeah, let's get started. And I can do demonstrations if there's something you want me to show you in Studio One 5, or you want me to show you something in Persona Sphere. I can do that as well. So yeah, by all means, please do get your questions in the chat, folks. Sticks and stones and cricket bats, says Mika Han. Yeah, okay, let's go right to the top. Bobby Booth was in first of all. Mr. Eager Beaver Bobby, good to see you, mate. And Thomas over in the Philippines is here. He says, good morning to you, my friend. Yeah, it is 14 minutes past midnight here. Tony is here. He says, hello all, I will try and stay awake. Awesome. I will try and stay awake too, because I tell you, these the side effects of this medication, among other things, is kind of loss of concentration. I have definitely experienced that. And drowsiness, and I have definitely experienced that as well. One of the things it says there is don't operate any machinery. I'm not sure whether a Studio Live mixer and a computer qualify, and don't know if this guy qualifies either, but I'll take it as it comes. Let's see who else is here. Kyle is here. Hello, Kyle. Good to see you, buddy. welcome. And Robert John is here. He says, find time for Jonny to go off and make himself a cup of tea. Actually, the slight delay was I was trying to position my stool in such a way that it was comfortable. And I was trying to think about how can I, if I want to do something on the keyboard, how can I actually do that without hurting myself in the process? Still haven't quite found a solution to that yet, but I intend to. Bobby says, wow, did I realize how slow my internet got? It took me 15 hours to download the PSO. Wow, 15 hours. Good grief. You know, I can remember when I first upgraded from Studio One version 2 to Studio One version 3, and I can remember installing all of that stuff. And that was in my old studio. And the internet there sucked. As those of you that have been on my show for the last several years, you will know all about, because the quality of my shows was not great. And some of you guys are still here, which is awesome. But yeah, I can well remember having seriously slow internet. And I think it did take me nearly 15 hours to get all of the content for Studio One 3 installed back then. Yeah, that was crazy. I'm so glad I'm in here now, because it means when I want to upload anything to PreSonus, it takes a matter of about 2, maybe 3 seconds tops. And if I want to download anything as well, all of the new content that I have available now, which is awesome. If you're a PreSonus member, you get pretty much everything. And so I have been, over the last few days, just gradually just dropping a few things into my Studio One, and they go so fast now. It's crazy. But yeah, I can well believe that if you've got a slower internet and you're wanting to download all of those sample libraries and all of that from your PreSonus account, yeah, that's going to take a while. Dwayne is here. He says, I'm watching from my iPhone. Can't stay long. I'll watch the replay. Dwayne, it's very good to have you here, and I'm glad you're here, whether you're watching whatever device you're watching on. I hope that what you see here tonight is helpful. Mike Neighbor is here as well, my trusty moderator. Good to have him here. And of course, Mika is here. He says, I hope everyone is better than... Yeah, I hope everyone is better than me right now as well. Absolutely. Bill is here. Hey, Bill, good to see you. He says, I guess you won't be dancing anytime soon. I pretty much never dance. It is never a good idea to encourage me to get up on the dance floor, because you would die laughing if you saw it happen. He also says, did you ask your doctor if you'll be able to play piano when you get better? Actually... Playing this is okay. Depressing the sustain pedal is not quite so okay. That is sore. I'm going to have to find a way to be able to do that without it hurting too terribly much. Kyle is talking to Tony about using the Vox AC30s in Empire. They are pretty darn good, actually. My neighbor says, I love the articulation and key switch mapping. Yes, that is a huge deal for a lot of people. Whether you're working in MIDI in an EDM context, or whether you're working in kind of a sound design film composer kind of point of view as well, using something like PSO and any other instrument that supports key switching. It's brilliant. It really is brilliant what you can do now. Either kind of doing it live or changing those key switches after the fact. Just makes things so much easier, so much faster. It was a pretty highly requested feature over at answers.presonus.com. So, you know, for those of you that are going, hey, I wish X was in Studio One, that's the place to go. Answers.presonus.com is the place to go. There is a Studio One feature request thread there. Just go and have a quick look through and see if anything that that resembles your feature request is there. If it's already there, vote it up and add your comment to it saying, yes, I would love this too. that's the kind of stuff that the Persona Software team over in Hamburg, that's what they look at when they're looking for, putting their finger on the pulse to see what our customers want to see, how they want to see Studio One grow and develop and change over the years. That's where they go to kind of get that information, and they get it from our artists as well, our Personas artists. They get them there. We have a focus group. We get feature requests from them as well. But yeah, it's mostly you guys, the customer, that drives forward how Studio One develops, as well as, they have their own fantastic, original, innovative ideas like state space modeling and, great things like that, and the show page, which is entirely something completely different to have a live performance page inside a linear DAW. So, and all the pages are now completely, gloriously interlinked, which is great. And I don't think I know of any other DAW that does that. Obviously, Ableton Live is designed for live performance. That's its big deal. But it's not in the same respects like Studio One is in its kind of integration with, recording, mixing, mastering, and now performing. The whole thing is just kind of like a start to finish process you can do in Studio One now, which is awesome. I've been wanting this for years, and I'm glad we've finally done it. Let's see. Mika says, has anyone else heard about Studio One 5 tempo/frame drifting when slaving to MTC? That's not something I've seen. I know that there are one or two small issues with MTC. But yeah, that kind of drift I've not been seeing in support, but if you've been seeing it, then maybe, if you've been seeing it over on Facebook, maybe there are some folks there that are reporting it there. If you're seeing such a thing, make a support ticket and let us know. And if we can reproduce it in support, we pass it on to Hamburg, and if they can reproduce it, then they will go ahead and address it. And then hopefully in a future build of Studio One, maybe it will get addressed. And if it does, then, have a look through the release notes on the next few updates and see if it's there. If it's fixed, it will appear in the release notes. That's kind of how it works. Donny Hill says, with Studio One 5, I was really hoping for more improvements for those of us that use it in a hybrid fashion. When you say hybrid, are you referring to using analog outboard gear? We have Pipeline, which kind of still does what it does, and it still does what it does really well. And we have the aux channel as well now. And if you saw Gregor's live stream just the other day, he did a whole little 5-6 minute section on printing a mix using. I don't think he used Pipeline in this particular case, but using kind of like using a separate set of outputs, and it works really well. But yes, I'm sure things like that will come in the future. I think 5.0 tends to be kind of like the foundation for the next big upgrade to Studio One, and then things get added as we go. And you will have seen that with version 4. With version 4, we had brand new things like the chord track and a whole bunch of other things. But there were some other things that didn't make it into version 4 until 4.5. And so a whole other bunch of features got added in 4.5 that were unique. And maybe some people would have suggested, hey, they just got overlooked for 4.0. But yeah, that's kind of how things work. And that was certainly true of version 3 as well. A lot of the kind of fundamental features for version 3 were brought in 3.0. And then we added other stuff, like in 3.2, we added the interoperability with Notion, for example, which was an important thing. and actually a big step towards what we have now in terms of the score view. So yeah, that's kind of how it tends to work. So not everything gets dropped in a 0.0.0. Damn, I've got this itch. Yeah, not everything gets dropped in a 0.0.0 brand new, major upgrade. It's kind of like most of it, and then you get some more. So there will be a whole bunch of other stuff coming in the next few updates as we go forward into version 6, whenever that comes. Who knows when that will come? I certainly do not. So yeah, I hope, Donny, that answers your question. Just basically keep an eye out, and if you've got specific features related to that hybrid fashion that you're talking about, get them over into answers.presonus.com if you haven't already, because that is where, as I say, that's where they look. So yeah, and if you see them already there, campaign for votes. Go and get them all over social media and get people that are Studio One folks going after those and adding their votes. And the more votes you get, the more clout you get. That's not to say that it's a cast iron guarantee that something that is very, very highly voted in and in answers will get immediately into the next version. Not necessarily. It means that these things will get put on the roadmap somewhere. And sometimes that means that they do make it into the next version. But yeah, you just have to wait and see. But that's a great one, Donny. I appreciate that one. Mike Neighbor is talking about the fact that he is now a member of Presonisphere. Yay! Kyle said, mostly a financial decision for me at this point. Still plenty left to learn in Studio 146. Yeah, and you know what? There is absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. If that is where you want to stay, then there is nothing wrong with staying in Studio 146. I know people that are still using Studio One 2. Studio One 2.5, actually. There is somebody that I still train to this day who is still using Studio One 2.5 from 2012, I think it is. So, there's nothing wrong with kind of staying with where you're at if that's where you're at. I'm not the kind of guy that would say you must upgrade you must have the latest version, the latest build of everything. There is a point where a particular version of Studio One goes into what we would call end of life, and we don't support it anymore. So if you have a support issue or you want to report a bug that you have found in Studio One 2, we wouldn't be able to deal with that anymore. And, we would tell you that pretty much straight up. We don't support Studio One 2 anymore, and eventually that will be the case with Studio One 3. We will no longer support that now that we have Studio One 5. That's just kind of how it works, really. And certainly we don't do any further development on Studio 1, 2, 3, or 4. So, there won't be any bug fixes for Studio One 4, if there are any bugs still left in that thing. Because most of the issues have all been fixed in Studio One 5. So, if you're finding issues in Studio One 4.6, they're likely addressed in Studio One 5. So, but yeah, I totally understand your position, Carl, for sure. Whoa, chat just jumped dramatically. Low Ends is here. Hello, buddy. He says, Dave Vignola said he was having issues with third-party plugins. How's yours running? Mine are all running absolutely fine. There are some plugin manufacturers that may not have tested their stuff in Studio One 5. I know that is the case for some manufacturers. And you basically just need to contact them and say, hey, come on, guys. Studio One 5. It's here. Your stuff should work in it. And there are some where the new Windows C++ runtime environment was adopted in Studio One 4.6, but some plugin manufacturers haven't quite got there with it yet, and they are not running it on this particular runtime, and they should. They absolutely should. So you might be running into some of those kind of issues. I know Dave is on a Mac, so there may well be some other kind of Mac related issues with third-party plugins. But yeah, I mean, as we see them in support, we kind of see if we can reproduce them, and then we kind of deal with them. They need to add MIDI export for Sphere. Not all of us work with audio. That is very true. As far as I know, you can send MIDI files, but I don't think you can send them as exported stems. So when you do export stems always bounces anything that's MIDI into a WAV file or an MP3, depending upon what you've checked in the box there. But you can export MIDI files. You just have to do it in Persona Sphere by clicking the paperclip symbol, and then you just browse to the MIDI file and you open it up that way. That, I think, works. I haven't tried it myself, but I've been told that works. But yeah, make a feature request. I believe at Answers there is a Persona Sphere feature request there, spot there as well now. My good friend Lucas is he is the chief of police over at answers.personas.com. He's done a lot of cleaning up over there, and so yeah, he's created this brand new place for Persona Sphere feature requests. So go get that in there, Mike, and we'd be absolutely delighted to go take a look at that. John Lake is here. Hey, John, good to see you. He says, I told my girlfriend I was going to Scotland. She said, I'll leave the dishes for you. That's cool. Yeah, if you are, I don't think travel restrictions have lifted yet, so you might not be able to make it over here yet. Certainly, I am not allowed to travel over to the United States just yet, but hopefully, in the not too distant future, I'll actually be able to get over and meet some of my colleagues over in Baton Rouge. That would be awesome. Donny Hill says, routing, I use a patch bay between my DP88 Studio 192. Patch bay and universal control routing and use of my hardware can be difficult setting up. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, yeah. As I say, get that in as a feature request. Make sure it's nice and detailed so we can see exactly kind of what the workflow aspect of that is. That would be very helpful. Ken is here, my other trusted moderator. Good to see you, buddy. He says, I installed the Rewire plugin but did not have the emailed license for iLock at the time, so skipped it while Studio One 5 loaded. Does not show up anywhere in Studio One 5, even in the blacklist, which you have reset, but it does in 4.6. Any ideas? Yeah, it's probably a case of you. If it's in 4.6, you should be able to go into 5.0, and it should be possible for you to activate it. I know I had an issue with one of our sample packs that activated in 4.6, but I had, for some reason, wasn't there in 5.0, and all I needed to do was go to Studio One, activate my purchased items, and it was there in the little list, and then I could just hit activate, and it activated, and then I restarted Studio One, and it appeared. If it's a third-party thing, then it might be slightly different, but certainly for Persona stuff, it's that straightforward, and it should work. But yeah, let me know how you get on with that. Ski Jump Toe says, hey, just found via Persona's forum that you can map pageable parameters for external controllers. Why isn't this stuff published better? It's amazing. We like to allow you guys to discover things because it's fun. It's fun for you guys to find stuff like that. We don't necessarily publish absolutely everything, but for that reason, because hey, you've just stumbled across something. There are a couple like that. Gregor highlighted a couple in his live stream just the other day that not many people know about, so it's worth going and checking out his live stream because as I say, there's a couple there as well. Let's see. Bill says, I own most of the Studio One plugins outright too. The main features I want are the key switches and clip game envelopes, but I plan to wait a little while to buy the upgrade, and I'll definitely do it. Good for you, Bill. Mike Never's talking to yes. Yes, Mike is absolutely correct. That feature that you're talking about was added in version 4. I believe it was added in 4.5, if memory serves. But yeah, we don't kind of talk about that stuff too terribly much. Sometimes we just like people to find stuff. Like I say, we like you guys to find stuff. Not house broke. I think you're new to my show. If you are, welcome. Good to see you. Not house broke says, I just recently upgraded to Studio One 4. Can I get Studio One 5 upgrade during the grace period? If I upgrade, can I keep and use Studio One 4 and have access to 5 later? That's a good question. The grace period is from April let me get this right, April 7th. So if you have purchased Studio One 4 between April 7th and July 7th, then you most likely qualify. However, there are definitely some caveats to that, and I would definitely recommend you go to the website that I'm going to put in the chat in just a second. Let me go find it. Which is our knowledge base. And there's an excellent article here which I'm going to grab, and I'm going to put it in the chat. So if you are one of those people that is wanting to know, have I qualified for the grace period, read that article that I've just posted in the chat, because it will give you definitive answers as to whether you do or whether you don't. So the qualifying period, the grace period is April 7th to July 7th. If you have purchased Studio One 4 in that period and you meet the criteria in that knowledge base article, then you probably do qualify, in which case I recommend you contact sales. You contact the sales department and provide them with your receipt and all of that for Studio One 4, and we can look at your account as well. And you should, if you actually do genuinely qualify, you should have received an email from us already, which gives you your options for the grace period. If you've not received that email, then it's probably because you don't qualify. You don't meet the criteria for qualifying. Even if your purchase does fall within the grace period, there are certain qualifying criteria that you need to meet. So check that article out first before you look in at that. Let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, Ski Jump Toes says, it makes you wonder what else is hidden. Yeah, go and play, go and have fun and explore, and you never know what you might just find out. But yes, the Complete Control MK2 has some mapping features that were integrated into Studio One 4, so those are worth checking out. Let's see, Tony. Oh, my voice just jumped then. Tony says, I jumped into Sphere 2. Awesome. I'm in there as well. Sphere is amazing. I was very fortunate to be part of the testing and development team for that with Jonny Guive, and it was fantastic. It's really, really good fun, and it's awesome. Bobby says, I finally got Persona Sphere, had some problems, but Jonny got it working by telling me what to do. So much add-ons to download. Yes, there are so many. And Bobby's issue is actually surprisingly commonplace. We see it a lot in support. We get so many tickets on this. So it's pretty simple. You guys are used to the standard way in which you activate Studio One, and I'm going to show you this just now. Just give me 1 second. You know, the standard way, here we are in Studio One 5, you are so used to the standard way in which you activate Studio One that you probably, when you get your license for Persona Sphere, this kind of won't have actually occurred to you. And so you'll be like, great, I've got all this content that I can now download. And then every time you're trying to activate it, it says, you are not the customer. You do not own these products. And you're going, hang on a minute, I've just paid for a membership to Persona Sphere. Of course I now have access to this stuff. What are you talking about? The solution is really, really simple. If you're a Windows guy like me, you need to go to Studio One, and then you go to Studio One Activation, and this is the important bit right here. You are used to having it here where it says activate my purchased version of Studio One. But what you need to do with Studio One now is activate with Persona Sphere. If you are a member of Persona Sphere, this is what you need to do, and then you click activate. And when you do that, what that means is that all of the Studio One add-ons that are available to you via your membership of Persona Sphere are now available to you in Studio One. If you haven't done this step, all of that stuff that you tried to activate would just come up with the warning message saying, you are not the customer. These do not belong to you. And that's all because the products that you are trying to activate are part of Persona Sphere, and they are available to you as a member of Persona Sphere, and you just need to activate Studio One with Persona Sphere so that now Studio One is connected to Persona Sphere, and all of the add-ons will now work. So this is the step that most people are missing out. If you are not a member of Persona Sphere, this is the guide that you are going to you're going to use. Activate my purchased version of Studio One. This will not apply to you. All right, so I hope that helps. Address that very, very common issue. So, Bobby, you are not alone in having that issue, and making sure that you activate with Persona Sphere with Studio One is the answer to that question. Let's see. Can you demonstrate syncing to external device clock? No, I cannot, because I do not have that kind of gear to be able to do it with, unfortunately. I know my good friend and colleague Gregor does. He has some external synths, and he has actually, just on the live stream he did, it was a Facebook Live he did, but we uploaded it to our YouTube channel, the Personas YouTube channel, just today, actually. So you can go and check the replay out of that on the Personas YouTube channel. And there's a whole section there on external instruments, hardware synths, and that kind of thing, and syncing, that kind of stuff. He goes through that. And there are a few other more detailed videos on that on the channel as well, which you can check out. But I am not able to, because all I have is a very old 26-year-old MIDI controller. And that's connected via, the old-fashioned 5-pin MIDI cables. So I don't really have anything that I'm syncing to anything to be able to help you there. Sorry about that, Andrew. But yeah, definitely go check out the stuff over on the Personas YouTube channel. And Robert says, Bobby, I'm not going to tell you how long my downloads took. You would cry. Yeah, if you've got slow internet, it will take some time. You're just going to have to find something else to do whilst you're doing it. I can remember, like I said, when I installed Studio One 3 and all of the new content that came with that, I went and did chores around the house, and I would just poke my head around the studio door if there was something I needed, an activation I needed to click on, and then I would go back out and just let it do its thing, really. Let's see. Diego says hi. Hi to you, Diego. Robert has a question. He says, how do we see and communicate with the Sphere community? I like request to collaborate. That is a great question. And I will just go to my Sphere account and show you how that is done. Give me one moment. I have bookmarked it. There we go. Persona Sphere. Okay. So if you want to collaborate, this is how you do it. So here I am in Persona Sphere. If you know somebody's email address that they are using to sign in to the Persona Sphere, then it's dead easy. You go to Workspaces. If you've created a workspace like I have here, I've got this one here called Cerebral Jazz Club, and I've got this one, Brand New Day, which I actually used to do a demo for Persona Sphere for my video on Persona Sphere that I did. But let's say I want to add collaborators to this. So now that I've selected it, there are no collaborators at the moment. There's just me. And as you can see, I'm online, obviously. And this photograph here was, I was sat on my roof of this house, and it was about midnight, just kind of around about this kind of time of the evening, and this was the view from the roof. As you can see, in the summertime, the sun kind of doesn't completely fully set until almost 1 o'clock in the morning. So that was the view that I had, and it was just glorious, and I thought, I've got to take a picture of that. So there you go, that explains that. So if you want to add collaborators, you click this button here, Manage Collaborators. And then this is the dialog box that appears. Invite anyone to your Persona Sphere workspace, not just other Persona Sphere members. All they need is a free MyPersonas account, which they can create at my.personas.com. You can grant any collaborator access to anything in the workspace, or just a few things. So there are 3 levels. There's the admin level, where they can add files, delete files, and add messages to the timeline. There's the contributor, where they can add files and delete only files that they have uploaded, and they can add messages. Or there's the browser, who can download files and add messages to the timeline, but they can't upload anything. So you have the power to decide. So you click on Add Collaborator, and then you enter their email address here. If they have a Personas account, they will be added to your workspace once they accept your invitation. If they do not have a Personas account, they will be prompted to create a free My Personas account and can accept your invitation once they have created an account. Once you know what the email address is that they have used, either to sign into Persona Sphere or with the free My Personas account, you enter that in here, and then you click Invite. And then when they accept the invitation, if I come out of this workspace and go into my other one, it will look like this. So there's some messages that me and Lucas have been passing between one another. He sent me a toolbar, which he's created for the mix scenes. Actually, that's Lawrence who did that, my colleague over in Persona Support. And then these are all the people that are currently collaborators on this. So I have lots of my colleagues from Personas that are in here. And then there are all of these workspaces that I am a part of. And some of these were used for testing during the testing phase. And then if you've been added to a workspace but you don't see it yet, you can hit this button here, Refresh Workspaces, and that will call back home to the Persona server, and it will refresh anything that's not here. You can also add a workspace. So let's say you are about to start on a brand new project. You can click here, and then you can enter the name for your workspace, give it a wee description, and then hit Submit, and then that will create the workspace. And it will start out, as I say, pretty blank here. This is just stuff that I've been uploading to this one, to which I did for the Pressonosphere video that I put out just after launch. So yeah, so those are your options there. You have a timeline view, and then you have direct access to your shared files. So these can be stems. This is the cool part. These can be stems. So for example, if I go back over to Studio One, let's say I have these tracks here, and some of these are MIDI and some of these are standard audio. Let's say I decide I want to put these, make these available in my brand new day workspace. I can do that really, really easy. I can go to Song, Export Stems, and then I can select all of these, which I'm going to. I'm not going to select the main, but I'm going to select all of these. It's called Arc Tune. And instead of Do Not Publish, I'm going to go upload to Pressonosphere. And I'm going to make it between loop. And it's very short. It's only 17 seconds. Preserve mono tracks, right tempo, and close after export will do all of that. So let's press OK. And now all of those are now converted to WAV. So if they were MIDI, they are now converted to WAV files, and they've got very nondescript titles taken from the track titles there. And then I just choose which one of these workspaces I want to put it in. And I want to put it in the brand new day one. And then I just hit upload. And as you can see, it is uploading. This will take maybe a couple of minutes to complete. Depends on your internet speed. I have reasonably fast internet here. But you have to bear in mind, I am also live streaming this at the same time, so that is using probably quite a large chunk of my bandwidth. So it's running a little bit slower than I would normally expect it to. So all of these will be done in just a minute, and I'll show you what it looks like when they are imported into your chosen workstation. And we're coming up on to the last couple now, I think. Yep, just these last two. Nearly done. Apart from that one's decided to grind almost to a halt because I'm live streaming, so it's making my I think it's probably making my frame rate slow down a bit. On the last one. And we're done. So all of those are now complete. So I can now close out of that, and I can go back to my workstation here, and I can play this if I want to. In fact, it's uploaded all of these as individual pieces rather than as a mixdown, and there they all are. So I can just as easily change the titles of these, or I can download each individual one into a specific folder. Now, the other thing you can do is you can just upload. I didn't mean to do that. I can just upload a file. So I can go shared files, I can go upload file, and then I can browse to whatever file it is, or I can just drag and drop a file into this box here, and then off they go, essentially. And it's just that easy. So there you go. I hope that is helpful and answers your question. So that was a really good question, actually, Robert, to be honest. And I did cover some of that in my video, but not all of it. I'll admit I didn't really cover all of it because I wanted to keep the video reasonably tight for time. Ski Jump says, I was really surprised with the amount of articulations with the PSO library with Persona Sphere. I wasn't expecting it to be as good quality. Plus, the load time on patches is super quick. Yeah, if you are wanting to learn a little bit more about the PSO and what it sounds like, how it works, just after the PSO was launched, I made a video series on it, which I think is a 10-part series. You can go and check that out on this YouTube channel, preferably after the show. I'd prefer if you did it after the show rather than right now. But yeah, after the show, you can go and have a look at that series. It was done in Studio One 3.5. Just bear that in mind. But everything that I showed you in the PSO is true today. The only thing that we did do was we improved the quality of, I think it was the clarinets. There were a couple of bugs with the clarinets, and we fixed those, I think, about a year or so ago. How does Rewire work with Ableton? Well, Rewire is something that is being retired, just so you know, by Propellerheads, the people that invented Rewire. So officially, Studio One 5 no longer supports it. Officially. So some of you might have seen that when you first started Studio One 5 for the very first time, you might have, not everybody had this, but you might have had a little warning come up about the Rewire library. Well, the reason why that's kind of there is because Propellerheads are retiring Rewire, and so pretty much everybody is going, okay, well, we're not really going to deal with issues with Rewire anymore. But the way it works is if you have Ableton Live, then you have the current Rewire library. So you're not going to see that error. I have Ableton Live, as you will have been able to see when I was looking at Studio One, because you see my whole screen. You'll have been able to see that I have Ableton Live, which means I do have that library, which means I'm not seeing that error that some people are seeing. We have a knowledge base article for those of you that are seeing that error. We have a knowledge base article that explains what you do about that. Because there is a way around it. There isn't going to be a fix for it, but there is definitely a way around it at the moment. So that is what it is with that. And the way that Rewire works is you can essentially pull a certain aspect of Ableton Live into Studio One, which is very, very cool. I've not ever used it that way. So I really don't know too terribly much about it, but there are videos out there that will show you how Rewire in Studio One works. Because prior to the interoperability that was added for Studio One between Studio One and Notion, which was added for Studio One 3.2, the way that Notion were integrated with Studio One was via Rewire. Now it's kind of a little bit better than that. It doesn't really need Rewire anymore. So Propellerheads have decided that they are dropping Rewire. They are retiring it, is what they said. That's their official line. They are retiring it. So pretty much nobody else is really going to support it anymore. So that includes Presonus, that includes Ableton, that includes Cubase, that includes Celemony for Melodyne. It's no longer supported. So so kind of you're out of luck, unfortunately. Mike says that video was uploaded today, the live stream from Gregor. Yes, that is a recording from the Facebook Live that Gregor did a couple of days ago. So yeah, that was what was uploaded today. So it wasn't actually live, as in it was broadcast today. Ken says Johnny's PSO series is very well done. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Bobby Booth with the $10 donation. Thank you very much. You are awesome. He says, thanks for your help. You are very welcome, Bobby. I am very, very glad to help you anytime, as I am to anybody else. You know, any of you guys that are here and have been here throughout this show, I'm very, very happy to help any of you. And that's what this show is all about. So if you've got questions, if you discover an issue, either email it to me and we can explore it in next week's show, or you can put it in the chat. It's kind of up to you which way you want to do it. Mike Neighbor has very helpfully put the playlist to my PSO series. Thank you very much. That is very cool. Diego says, how does Notion compare to Finale? That is a really good question. And interestingly, I do believe that Finale is going bye-bye. I seem to recall I heard that earlier this year, that production on Finale is ceasing. Somebody might actually be able to either confirm or deny that for me in the chat, but I had heard that earlier this year, that Finale was going bye-bye. Which is actually quite sad. Finale is actually pretty good. Notion is extremely good. They kind of do similar things, but they are different. Finale is an engraving kind of tool, whereas Notion is more a notational DAW. If you follow me, if you catch my drift. It's more, what Notion does is Notion gives you a sound library that was recorded at Abbey Road Studios by members of the London Symphony Orchestra, and also headline musicians like Victor Wooten, who did all the basses, and his brother, who did all the drums, and his cousin, who did all the guitars. So you get all of that incredibly high-profile, high-quality audio files and sample packs for Notion, and you get to score as well. But it's not in the same way as an engraving software like Finale is. So it's a little bit different. Antonio then asks, the orchestra sounds for Notion also run in Studio One? No, they don't. They are completely different libraries. So the Persona Symphony Orchestra uses a completely different file type, a completely different sample pack. So they are completely different recordings than the ones that you get in Notion. So they are not the same, and you cannot, in that respect, bring Notion sounds into Studio One. So yeah, they are pretty different. But that's a good question. Ski Jump Toes says, something that's always confused me is why are vocal tunings done in Melodyne, yet Studio One can transpose polyphonic audio to the chord track internally? Good question. And that is because chord track is not really the same as tuning a vocal. Tuning a vocal means that you are going in and you are micromanaging the pitch correlation between one note and the next as it is sung by a vocalist or as performed by a trumpet player or a saxophone player if you're wanting to correct intonation. That's quite different to changing a major chord to a minor chord, or changing a dominant seventh chord to a diminished seventh chord. That's quite different. So Melodyne kind of is micro, whereas chord track is macro. Okay, so you got kind of micro here for Melodyne, then you got macro here for chord track. Chord track affects everything, and it affects the harmonic values of everything, and it does it in an incredibly clever and complex way of kind of playing about with the harmonic series. And there's some really complicated mathematics involved with it. Whereas Melodyne is kind of micro-adjusting pitch of a solo instrument, or if you have Melodyne Editor, Melodyne Assistant, or Melodyne Studio, you can actually go and play with the individual voices of a chord, for example. So if you've got an acoustic guitar part and you're just like, you know what, when we track this, the B string was just ever so slightly flat. That means every time the B string is being played, it's ever so slightly flat on this song. Well, you know what? In Melodyne Editor, Melodyne Assistant, and Melodyne Studio, you can adjust just that B string. But you can't do that with the Melodyne Essentials that comes bundled with Studio One. Doesn't work like that. So yes, and as Mike correctly points out, just going back to Persona Symphony Orchestra for a minute, you can purchase it separately from shop.personas.com, or if you are a member of PersonaSphere, you already have it, and you can just download it. Just don't forget to activate Studio One with PersonaSphere, and you will be away. And you can go and get that and just download it and activate it, and it will be there inside Studio One. The interesting thing to bear in note here is that it doesn't appear as a separate instrument in Studio One. It is a part of Presence XT. So I will show you just now, just real quick, for those of you that don't have it, I will show you where you will find it. So if I go back over to this song here, and let's close the mixer. There we go. Mixer is closed. Let's bring in Presence. And I'll show you where it is. So if you go up here to default, and then you go down to here, you got the Pso Classic Orchestra. And this has your general sections of the orchestra. You have the brass, the choir, percussion, strings, woodwinds. You also have this single articulation section. All of these have key switches built into them. This one just focuses on very specific articulations for different sections. And you also have some different instruments here as well that otherwise wouldn't be available, like contrabassoon, that kind of thing. So there's some specialized instruments there. And then you also get this guy here, the Pso Contemporary Strings. This is awesome, by the way. You get each individual section of the string section. So you have the basses, the cellos, violas, and violins. And then you get these individual key switch sections as well, which are very handy if you want to just have one track that has just pizzicato strings or what have you. And then you have this, which is called the big string section, which just sounds absolutely glorious. I'll need to switch my keyboard on for this. Ow, that hurt. You didn't see what I was doing, but I had to lean over to switch the keyboard on. But yeah, these sound absolutely incredible. If I just go and put the sustain one on just for now, and you'll get to see, you know, this is only a $100 library, but the sounds are incredible. Sounds absolutely glorious, doesn't it? So there you go. I hope that helps. And as I say, there are plenty more key switches and sounds that you can go and play around with there. So yeah, I hope that helps. And there's the Tom Breckline drums as well, which are fantastic. Tom is one of the top session drummers in the business. Played with Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock. He's played with everybody that's anybody in the business. He's extremely versatile, so go check him out as well. And I'm just watching my little play preview screen there. I'm seeing me do this, which is just hilarious. I need to stop doing that. So Antonio is a member of PersonaSphere. Excellent. You get pretty much everything in that case. So the Tom Breckline drums, yes, it's an impact kit. But you also get a whole bunch of loops as well. Antonio says, thanks, it sounds very good. By the way, any good Hammond and Rhodes libraries from Presonus? I'm starting to install everything tomorrow. They're in Presence. Go and have a look. Don't forget, actually, if you are into Hammond sounds, there's some presets in Presence that you can use. Use the Rotor plugin. The new look, new design, state space modeled Rotor is modeled after an actual Leslie cabinet, and it sounds freaking awesome. And I don't say that lightly. It really does sound freaking awesome. And it's very, very customizable, and especially when you add a little bit of drive to it, the tubes just overload and saturate in this gorgeous way, and you get some absolute glorious bites, especially when you've got it spinning fast. It's just awesome. So yeah, go check that out, and the plugin GUI for the Rotor in Studio One 5 is gorgeous. I'm so glad they did that. I mean, heck, the end user is never going to see it, but it doesn't matter. I get to see it. So there you go. And those kind of things don't really mean very much to me in general, but this is just a really nice touch that the guys in Hamburg did. And so it's awesome. Ski Jump Toes says, I think the artist's instruments do Presence a disservice. Personally, I thought Presonus couldn't deliver good sounds until I tried PSO. Actually, I see what you're saying. But I don't entirely agree. But I do see what you're saying. Not all of the sounds in Presence are fantastic, but they are pretty good. And they'll get you, for the most part, started. And as I say, if you remember Presonisphere, there's a whole bunch of other loop libraries that are now available to you. There's all the Spark stuff. There's just tons of stuff that's at your fingertips now that you can go and download and just add, and it's just there inside Studio One. And now you have like thousands of dollars worth of products totally at your fingertips. And I sound like a commercial for Presonisphere, and I'm doing that again. Stop it! I sound like a commercial for Presonisphere, but really, I think Presonisphere is awesome. It's a brilliant, brilliant idea, because it's a lot more than just paying monthly for Studio One. If it was just paying monthly for Studio One, meh, it's not great. It's not good. Not a good direction. But it's so much more than that. You get everything. Plus, when Studio One 6 comes out, if you are a Presonisphere member, when Studio One 6 comes out, it's in your account straight away. You don't have to pay any extra. So, if you're one of those people for whom a big 0.0 release like Studio One 5 is an expensive deal for you, and it's hard for you to kind of find the money to be able to every time there's a new 0.0 release, go and get it. Well, if you are a Presonisphere member, you're paying $15 a month. By the time Studio One 6 comes out, it's in your account, just like that. As will Notion 7 be. I don't think you can say better than that, personally. What is Spark? Spark is a whole bunch of samples and loops and stuff like that. Go and have a look in shop.presonus.com, and in the search box, just type in Spark, and you'll see there's tons of stuff there that you can get your hands on. Some of it, my good friend and colleague Gregor has been involved with. There's the Ari Arendt stuff in there as well. Ari is one of the QA guys over in Hamburg for the Presonus software team. But he is also a brilliant, brilliant, genius sound designer. So, yeah, there's all of his stuff to check out. We are 15 minutes over, but I don't mind taking the extra questions on this particular occasion. But I am going to finish the show there. Thank you very, very much. Yes, it is 12 quid a month. Absolutely. It's actually £12.22, but who's quibbling over 22 pence? I'm not. It's super duper cheap. So yeah, go and have fun going and downloading all of that stuff. You will have so much fun with it. And I will be putting out some more videos this week. This last week has been unfortunately taken up with trips to the doctors, trips to hospitals and back. So I've not really been able to get any videos made, unfortunately. But this coming week, there will be some more Studio One 5 videos. And I will also be showing you a little bit more about Pressonosphere and some of the stuff that you get, some of the content that you have at your availability. So yeah, so go and have fun with all of that stuff, and I will see you guys. Hang on, where's my mouse pointer gone? I was trying to do a slick ending, and it failed miserably. Quick last question from Ken. He says, can I install the Pressonosphere extra stuff in 4.6 since I have both versions of Studio One installed? Unfortunately, you cannot. I don't believe the new stuff for the new content for Pressonosphere will work in Studio One 4. But as I say, I don't believe that is the case, but I will ask. So Ken, drop me an email with that question and I will go and ask. And I will email you back with a definitive response on that. E. Hall says, is there an update coming? Getting lots of crashes, just joined, so I don't know if it's been mentioned. As far as I know, no updates coming, but, you know, we are early days just yet. So if you are getting crashes, then please contact us at Presona Support. Go make a support ticket from your support section of your My Presonus account, or if you're in Pressonosphere, you can use the little sphere logo, click that, and then it's about the 4th or 5th item there, and you just click that button and create yourself a support ticket. Yes, I did see the donation from Bobby Booth, and I did mention it. So yeah, so create yourself a support ticket, and either myself or one of the other guys in the software support team will take a look at your particulars of your crashes. Give us as much detail as you can, actually. If you're on a Mac, if you've got crash reports, send us those. Attach them to your support ticket. If you are on Windows, then send us your DMP dump files. Those will be helpful as well, because by looking through those, we might actually be able to pinpoint what the issue is. Again, if you are on a Mac, send us an SPX file. If you're on Windows, send us an NFO file, those are basically system files, and that enables us to go looking through your system and see if we can find where the point of conflict might be that's causing your crashes. Does that mean we will definitively be able to fix your crashes? We might be able to, we might not. It might be that you need to go to a third-party vendor and alert their support to the issue. That's always possible. So, yeah, please do contact us over at support, and we'll try and help if we can. All right, folks, there we go. That is the end of the show. Thank you to all 30-something that we had in here. What did we peak at? 34 people. This is really good. This is really good, folks. Thanks very much to Bobby Booth for the $10 donation. You are awesome. Anybody else that didn't donate and would like to at any other point can certainly do it via PayPal. That is also an appreciated method. And you can use the email address johnnylipsham@gmail.com, and that will get to my PayPal account. All right, guys, take care, and I will see you all very soon. Good night. Good night, everybody.